So CNN dropped a video of Diddy and Cassie. Oh my God, it was insane. So today we're going to discuss how to leave an abusive relationship. Go ahead and cue my theme music. Hey Rebel, welcome to Untoxify Your Relationship. Here we will talk about all things healthy and how to get that toxic mess out of you and your partnership. I'm your host, Melissa Webb, a practicing licensed mental health therapist with 10 years experience. All right, let's go ahead and hop into it. Hey y'all, so this episode is going to be pretty serious. It might have some triggering topics come up. Listen to at your discretion. Like I was saying earlier, this video of Cassie and Diddy surfaced and CNN had it. It was from a hotel, and Diddy is basically being abusive to Cassie. It's a very triggering video. I do not recommend, if you're going to be triggered, do not go watch it. I watched it, someone sent it to me, and I was shocked. Kind of shocked and kind of not shocked, because this is the same Diddy. Again, I'm a millennial of Making the Band. If you remember Making the Band, he had two groups. He had the girl group, singing group, which was Danity Kane, and then he had DABAND, the band, the rappers. And with the rappers, he made them go get cheesecake in the middle of the night. I was like, what? That's stupid. We all thought it was funny, but seeing how he is and looking back on those episodes, we're like, I see some things, right? And then with the girl group, it was really weird how he attached himself to, I think her name was Aubrey or Audrey and Dawn. Like, those were the two girls that he kind of attached himself to. And it was really weird and kind of cringy, but no one really said anything about it, right? But now seeing these videos surface of Cassie and just hearing the allegations and the lawsuit that Cassie had brought up against Diddy, now everything's starting to make sense. Someone sent me that video, and in text message we started talking, and the person was like, why did she stay for 15 years? That's a loaded question. I have worked with people who have been in abusive relationships and wanted to leave, and their reasoning for staying is different every time. Some people are threatened. Some people don't want to break up the children. Some people feel like they don't have the strength to leave. It's a lot of different things why people stay in abusive relationship. I think the one thing that people need to realize is when you're being abused, your reality is distorted. So what that basically means is what is true don't even seem real, right? Because this person is not showing you who they really are. They do enough to keep you there, and then they do all this other crazy stuff, and you're just like, wait, you just told me that you love me, but now you're doing this thing that doesn't show real love. And that can be confusing for someone, and I think sometimes that makes people want to stay. As a person who have ended an abusive relationship, it's hard, right? It's hard to be like, this person loves me, but yet they're doing the things that goes against what love really means. And it can take a while for people to leave. And I think that's okay. We just need to give people grace and not judge them for staying for so long, because we don't know the situation that's happening. So today we're going to talk about what is an abusive relationship, the cycle of abuse, and how do we get out of it, because we don't need to stay in those. Let's get into it. First things first, I know this word toxic relationships comes up. I mean, even the name of my podcast is Untoxify Your Relationship. But I want to be very clear when we're talking about toxic relationships versus abusive relationships. Not all toxic relationships are abusive. However, all abusive relationships are toxic. So a toxic relationship is one that makes you feel unsupported, misunderstood, demeaned, or attacked. A relationship is toxic when your well-being is threatened in some way, emotionally, physically, and psychologically. Again, that sounds like an abusive relationship, but an abusive relationship is all about power and control. They try to have power over you and control of all of your things. So in a toxic relationship, there is usually a lack of respect and a violation of boundaries. And abuse can take many different forms, which can be psychological, emotional, physical abuse. And also, abusive relationships tend to follow a cycle, and that cycle can be the tension starts to build, an act of abuse occurs, the person who committed the act apologizes, blames the victim, or minimizes the abuse. Then there's a period of time where there is no abuse. And then, however, the cycle continues to repeat itself. Usually during a period of time when we see that there is no abuse, that is when we see love bombing. They being extremely nice. They just chilling. Like, that is when you're like, oh, this is the person who I got with. This is the person that wined me and dined me in the beginning. So this person may be coming back, but then the abuse always starts back up again. And that is why it's so confusing, because in one moment they're nice and they're loving and they're showing you, I guess, quote unquote, love. And then the next moment they are mean and abusing you. This information came from an article on Very Well Mind. So I will link it in the show notes so you can go ahead and read the whole thing on toxic relationships versus abusive relationships. Abuse is about power and control. And here are some people that I see that are abusers. This is not an all-inclusive list, but this is some people that I see who are abusers. We can see this with powerful people like the Diddy's and the R. Kelly's and even the Donald Trumps of the world. We can also see people who want power and control. And so these are the people who just want to control others because they never really had that control. I always think of childhood trauma with this. So the people who didn't have control as children, because they were abused, they then grow up to abuse others because they want that power and control over people. And again, other people, people who have been abused tend to abuse others just for the reason that I just mentioned. So the loaded question of the day: why do people stay in abusive relationships? Here are some ways that abusers keep people in abusive relationships. They use isolation. So an example of this is they try to keep them away from their friends and family. They use emotional abuse. So that is put downs and name calling, just to name a few. They minimize, deny, and blame. So this is a lot of gaslighting. Gaslight is when basically the abuser is abusing you and then they say, oh, I never did that. And you're like, wait a minute, I literally just saw you do this. And they are just like, nah, that wasn't me, even though it was them. They use children. So they pass messages through children, or they threaten to take away the kids. That can be one way that someone will stay, because they might be threatening to take the kids away if they leave the relationship. They use male privilege. This is male privilege, but they use privilege. And one example is they might treat, let's say it's a male-female relationship, the male may treat the female as if they're a servant. And just to be clear, we know that abusers can be male or female. Just in this example, I just use a male dominating a female. They use economical abuse. So that means they're making the person ask for money, or they're taking their money away, or they have their bank account number and they have their passwords to their bank account. All the things that in a way where they can control their money. And again, they use threats. So they do something that hurt them, or they make them do illegal things, whether that's drugs or alcohol or anything like that. And the other one is they use intimidation. So they destroy property, or they abuse pets, anything, or they use weapons, anything that they can use to intimidate the person. And these are ways that people stay in abusive relationships. So some of these things can be going on, and that is why someone's like, I don't know if I can leave because my life just been threatened, or my children's life been threatened. And if I leave, I don't want anybody to die. And that's a real statement. I've heard that in therapy. And that is hard to hear. And it's hard to want to leave when you're being threatened with that your life's going to be taken, or someone's life's going to be taken if you walk out that door. The next loaded question of the day is, how do someone leave an abusive relationship? First thing I want to say is, if you are deciding to get out of an abusive relationship, shout out to you for wanting better and knowing that you deserve better than what you are currently in. And the second thing I want to say is I'm a therapist, but I am not your therapist. This is not medical advice. I'm going to tell you what I will tell someone like a friend or a cousin, because again, y'all not my clients, a friend or a cousin, how to go about getting out of a abusive relationship. So first things first, safety. We have to be safe. You have to tell someone what's going on. It will be wise if you told someone what's going on. Let me rephrase, because I don't want to say what you need to do. But it will be wise if you let someone know what is going on. So that is a friend that you trust, a therapist, a family member, anybody that you trust. They need to know what's going on. This person can help you and lead you and guide you in ways that you probably don't know how. Because at this point, they can help you with safety. They can help you with resources. They can help you with a lot of different things. I'm going to name some other things they can help you with. But it's important to have that person on your side, so that way when things are going rather crazy, you have someone that can help you through all of this. The second thing we need to do is plan and escape. So this is where that trusted person comes in. And it could be more than one person. I'm just saying you need to at minimum have one. And max, you can have as many as you want. But we need to have a trusted person. So when you start planning your escape, this can look like keeping a bag with money, clothes, important items somewhere. That somewhere can be at this trusted person's place. Like say like this, the place where you're going to go to is your friend's house. And this is your trusted person. Keep your stuff there, right? Have an escape route of how to get there, whether it's in your car, a bus route, an Uber, whatever the case it is. But we need to have a bag somewhere. You can keep it at your job. You can keep it at somewhere. It just needs to be somewhere. I usually don't, if you share a car with your partner, or the abuser rather, I usually tell people don't keep it in the car, because if they find it, it's not going to be a good situation. If you can stash it somewhere, like I said, at your job or someone's house, a church, something, I think that's better, especially if you share a car. Now, if it's your own car, then that's different. Just be careful with that too. Make sure you can hide it and the abuser cannot find it. Know how to get to your safe place. Again, how are we getting there? Are we getting there by car? Are we getting there by Uber? Are we walking? Is it a bus route we're taking? Are we going to have a meetup place? And then your friend will come and get you. Like, these are things that we need to start planning if you want to leave your abuser. And the other thing is, consider leaving your cell phone. There are ways that they can track your phone. If you have your location on, I say turn it off, because that's how GPS finds you. There's also, what's those little Apple things that, tags, those Apple tags, those can be in your car. They can be anywhere. So just make sure when it comes to your cell phone, turn it off. Consider getting a new phone. Consider getting a burner phone until you can get your new phone. Remember important numbers. Again, I'm a millennial. We had no choice but to remember numbers. Now, we have cell phones with all the numbers, but remember those important numbers, like your trusted person's number, maybe a shelter number, maybe a domestic violence hotline number. We need to remember these numbers because we might need them in a pinch. And if we need them in a pinch and we can't turn on our phone, because we turn on our phone, our location will be found. So remember numbers. And then also consider just ghosting them. You ain't got to come home. You ain't got to check in. Maybe one day you like, I'm going to work, but I'm going to leave work early and go do what I have to do. Fine. Do that. We don't need to have closure with this. I know I'm a huge fan against ghosting and stuff, except in these types of situations where our safety is at risk. Please ghost this person. With my situation, what I end up doing, something ended up happening where I was not at this person's house all the time. So I was like semi living with this person, and I end up having a car accident, and my car was in the shop, so I had to go back home with my parents. And this man blew my phone up and was like, when you coming back over? I need you here. Was upset, angry, and all the things. And I just completely was like, I'm not going back to this foolishness. And I blocked this number and I blocked him. I haven't heard from him since. That was over 10 years ago. So I had to ghost him. Otherwise, this man was going to continue to harass me and belittle me and abuse me in so many different ways. And I had to get out. So that's how I got out, by ghosting. Understand that's not everybody's choice. So that's why I went through how to get out. We need to do some safety things. In the video that CNN released, it almost looked like Cassie was trying to leave. And again, her safety was at risk because of what Diddy did to her because she was trying to leave. And I get that is a real situation that can happen. And I hope it doesn't. That's why I said this ain't medical advice. You can do whatever you want with this. But just know that your safety is important. And figuring out what that looks like for you is important. I'm also going to link some other websites on abuse, domestic violence, and how they tell you what to do and how to get out of those situations. I know another loaded question that people have is, why do abusers abuse? I go back to, it's a heart issue. It is a heart issue. The Bible tells us that the heart is deceitful. And the Bible also tells us what comes from your mouth, good or bad, it starts in the heart. So sin can cause the heart to grow hard, especially if unrepeated and continuous sin is happening. And so will pride, but also harden your heart. So hardened hearts is a response to rejecting God. And that is what we see with Pharaoh. Pharaoh, who kept the Israelites in captive for however many years that he was in charge, but for 400 years they were slaves. But we also see that Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and then God also hardened Pharaoh's heart. And I was reading some commentary on God hardening the heart, and it looks like it said because Pharaoh was so far gone that God was like, I'm just going to go ahead and harden this even more so I can go ahead and do my will and my purpose with my people, the Israelites, and get them out of Egypt. And I'm not saying that is every abuse that God is hardening their hearts and this is why you're abused. Please don't hear me say that, because that is not what I'm saying. In the case of Pharaoh, that is what happened, okay? This is not in the case of abusers today, because I don't know why people do what they do, and I don't know nothing about their hearts. That is a God thing, not a me thing. But we do know hardened hearts is in response to rejecting God's goodness and his mercy and all of that. A question that people who are being abused, they always ask me, do you think my abuser can change? My question is absolutely. The thing with that is they have to want to change in order for change to happen. So if this person does not want to change, know that they will not change because they are okay with who they are, which is really sad. So that's the abusers. I'm done talking about them. I want to talk to my survivors, those people who have endured abuse on so many different levels. I just want to say, I am sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. That should not have happened to you. But since it did, I am sorry. You did not deserve it. And it was not your fault. I know people want to say it's your fault that you stayed for so long. It's your fault that you chose this person. I'm letting you know now, it's not your fault. You did not know that this was going to happen when you started dating this person. So for one, it's not your fault. And two, I know that there is life after abuse because I'm a living testimony of that. And so many other people who I have counseled is a living testimony of life after abuse. And it can be great. It can be wonderful. It can be fabulous. We just got to get there. And I know if you're thinking about leaving a situation or have left a situation, you got to heal. Like, let's get this healing in place. Let's go to therapy. Let's work through this PTSD and everything that was that has happened to you. Let's work through that and let's find healthier ways to cope and healthy ways and learn healthy relationships and what that looks like for you. And you will have that healthy relationship in due time. And you have to do the work to get there. And there are plenty of therapy places out here, therapy center therapists, Black therapists that can help you to get to that point. And also we know that God loves you and God wants you to be happy. He wants to give you that joy and peace that you've been longing for. Just pray and ask for it and He will give it to you. So that is my love letter to survivors. I love you so much and you are beautiful and you are worth it. So you're worthy of a healthy relationship and you're worthy of someone loving you the way that you want to be loved. All right, that's my sappiness for today. No, this was a heavy episode. I usually don't do heavy episodes like this, but that video really did something to me. And I was like, we need to talk about this. So, as you know, episodes drop. I'm trying to get back on track of every Monday, but right now, every other Monday, and that's okay. Episodes drop on Mondays. Please leave a review. I seen some of y'all left a review. Thank you. 5 stars. Yes. So if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you feel moved to leave a review, please leave a review. Tell your auntie, uncle, and cousin and them, spread the love. Just let everybody know that I'm out here trying to help people untoxify their stuff. Because, baby, what they saying out here on Facebook is so wrong. And I'm just praying that these people just shut up and start giving out relationship advice. Anyway, tell your auntie, uncle, and cousin and them about the pod. Again, stay non-toxic, stay healthy, and I will see you next time. Peace. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and share this episode with your family and friends. Don't forget to check out the quiz to figure out what your toxic trait is. The link is in the show notes. Thank you and see you next time.